Kirsten, what are your thoughts on this? How significant a step forward is this in the prosecution's case there at the ICJ? I mean, is this a huge win for the Gambia in that case?
For the Gambia, I'm not sure. I think there are sort of interesting questions. Mostly, I think for the International Criminal Court, this is really significant. For the Gambia, we already had, as the other speakers have mentioned, we already had some pretty significant UN reports. So we know a lot about what's happened. So this really has, I think, a lot to do with credibility. And then the question of how cases move forward. So previously in international criminal law, the UN Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia sort of got kickstarted by a confession of a soldier who had participated in Srebrenica. And using Erdemovich's confession, he later pleaded guilty. Many facts about the Srebrenica genocide came to light, starting with where bodies were buried, starting with how it worked. And several cases at the ICTY then focused on Srebrenica. So we've seen in the past how confessions of this sort can be extraordinarily important. And then, of course, as people mentioned, it also puts the focus back on Myanmar and what's happening. So I think this has been a big part of what the benefit of the Gambia case at the ICJ was to open up the question of, is this a local problem or is this an international problem? And of course, the same thing happens when the International Criminal Court investigates.
You know, Palash, the one thing that I've never been able to get beyond, and maybe you can help me out with this, is that, you know, we have this international law angle on all of this, right? What's happening in Myanmar, but then there's the political reality on the ground within the country as well, right? The narrative, which is so anti-Rohingya. How does one move beyond that politically? Because it seems like all political parties, or most political parties on the ground in Myanmar, are sort of in agreement in their anti-Rohingya stances.
Well, I think this has been a historical xenophobia. So that's why I was trying to refer that they have been used as a colonial, post-colonial pawns, right? And there is a widespread denial of their citizenship. And yes, it is what you call that there is an unity among the local politicians in Myanmar, and they use the direct